Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. So in the past, I think I have mentioned, and I don't know if I've gone into it, I think I've talked about it a little bit, but um, I see faces. So not in regular waking life or anything, but like when I'm in between being awake and falling asleep, that process will be interrupted by faces coming toward me, showing themselves like really rapid fire. You know, I could have 20 or 30 faces if I don't make an effort to stop it. Just kind of in rapid fire. And they have varied a lot. I don't think I've ever seen the same person more than once. And there are people I don't know. They have extremely various features. It's really weird. So I've had this on occasion. I don't know, maybe over the last 5 years, 3 years, probably closer to 3 years. My sense of time is not very good. And since I recently started asking the cards about like a dream and what happened in one of my journeys, sort of things to do with energy work, with the Lava Mama painting me, that sort of thing, I thought, well, maybe I'll just ask them about the faces. So at one point I did ask a woman who was a medium about the faces on her channel. I just asked her, and she said, well, it doesn't sound like mediumship. I don't see this sort of thing. Doesn't happen to me like when my eyes are open or anything. And there's no sense of anybody talking or anything. She thought it was something shamanic. Recently, particularly because while I was in my shamanic treatment, and this was a distance one, so she's somewhere else. She calls me, we talk for a second, and then we hang up, and I'm supposed to relax in a reclined position. And she gave me this breathing, 8 in, hold for 8, 8 out, this breathing exercise. And what happens? All of these faces start, flashing before me. And because I was having a shamanic treatment, I just thought, I'm not supposed to be journeying. She's supposed to be journeying on my behalf. But I did quite a bit of tripping during that particular shamanic treatment. But I just told them, don't come to me. Go to Sharon, the person who I was getting the treatment from. Go to Sharon, and that worked. And since that time, I had one other thing, and I think it worked. I said, just go to Sharon. So I'm using her as this gateway because I have no way to deal with this. But I think she suggested that they may be people between life and death, especially considering the situation with COVID and people dying without, people die without expecting to die all the time, but we've got an extra load going in that regard. Although, I'm not aware of my particular area being hard hit. But so I know nothing about this sort of thing. But and when I told her what I did, when they showed up, and I talked to her about it because they showed up, she says, that's fine. whatever you want to do. And I think it was part of the reason that she wanted me to get a shamanic treatment. Excuse me, to learn shamanism, to take classes in shamanism so that I would know how to deal with these kinds of things. But still, I wasn't completely clear, and or maybe believing it, or like, why would I see them? I haven't gotten there with the cards you see here, but I did pull one, and I will probably flip over some other cards here asking that why question. But I also saw a I think it was a TEDx talk, and it was a medical professional who can't remember if he was a cancer doctor, but he dealt with a lot of people kind of preparing for their end, and he said it was not uncommon for people to have this happen, and not that I think it signals that I'm dying or anything, but he said that there's an area of the brain, or even a spread out area of the brain, or maybe it's one organ in the brain, part of the brain, that, and I can't remember the name. I don't think it's the amygdala. I don't think it is. I think there's something called a parathymus or something. Anyway, and it is responsible for our perception of faces. And it has even disproportionate areas on it. For example, we have much more, many more neurons dedicated to perception of the lips than to the perception of, say, the eyebrows or something like that. So, and so the faces tend to, when this area of the brain misfires or is misstimulated, you can have these, this is the theory, this is a scientific theory anyway, you can have these kinds of faces and that you're perceiving, and they often will be distorted because of, again, that the neurons being, not even in terms of the numbers dedicated to the different portions of the face. And I know when he said that, I think I've seen a picture of that shows like the area of the brain, and then shows how the neurons would likely distort the face, according to how many were dedicated to different parts of it. So, and when he said that, that was actually kind of reassuring. I said, oh, it's just that. And that was during a time when I was seeing a lot of kind of distorted sorts of faces, or like, boy, these people led really hard lives. It's like I had a whole series of incidents where I would see these faces where they were really rough faces, like they would have been from another era where people didn't have the medical help that they have now, etc., and just lived really hard lives, and their features showed it. But then and now I can't remember what but then I was going to say, because I started to think of something else, which, so the other thing was that I think that my shamanic practitioner said, or somewhere, maybe I asked it in the Facebook group and kind of got radio silence, and I think I did. It was like, okay, this isn't something other people are experiencing. um, or not many, or it's not normal part of the shamanic thing. But I can't remember where this was suggested, but somewhere it was suggested to me that it could be shamans who are past, who are trying to come forward to be a teacher or something like that. I've never had that, and the fact that they happen so rapidly, like I never see one for, they're like practically shooting stars, you know. I never see one for more than a flash kind of a thing, like just to see their features, and then they're gone because there's one kind of coming behind them. You know, why they're wanting to display themselves to me like that is it's just crazy. Um, so I finally decided, I thought, all right, so I'm going to ask about the faces. I'm going to ask some decks about the faces. But it's a weird thing to ask. So I did use 2 regular tarot decks. But what I started with, so you're seeing them here in the sequence where I pulled them. This is the Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams. This is the Ghost Tarot, and this is the 78 Doors. And, you know, they just sort of made sense to me for ones to pull. And yes, I've got the Shaman's Death card. I'll bring it up for you to take a look at. It's kind of got the white and black face. And I'm going to read you a portion of the guidebook just because it's interesting. I'm not sure what to make of it, and I'm sure that I'll take it to bed and think about it some. So I'm going to read that to you now. So a shaman is a person who is willing to confront the greatest fears and shadows of physical life. When I was working with Joaquin and the grandmothers in Mexico, I was taught the difference between a healer and a shaman. A healer is a person who is able to use the forces of good medicine, in capitals, both of those words are in capitals, to effect a cure in the body, mind, or spirit of another. The healer, or curandero, does not use the forces of the shadow to effect cures. The shaman, on the other hand, is a healer who has gone into the underworld and has unflinchingly confronted his or her own shadow, as well as the evil of others, and can successfully deal with those forces of darkness equally used with those of light. A shaman can do exorcisms and can reverse hexes and the results of black arts that have been used on a patient. The shaman, as well as the healer, can effect cures, but only the shaman is trained in dealing with any type of black arts that may have caused illness. So this is her particular training and perception, and I think that that has to do with where she learned there in Mexico. Now, a lot of present day, like shamanic practitioners, like the person I went to, they may have gone somewhere in South America. I think they tend to go to Peru and get training there, but a lot of them also get their training through like the Center for Shamanic Studies, is that what it's called? Which is where the shamanic practitioner I went to got her training. I mean, some people go to Siberia and get training there, or Mongolia. But so she's, when she says, well, in this next part, it says many people in today's society are calling themselves shaman without any knowledge of exactly what this means. And she goes on and on. And again, it has to do with confronting, as she says here, the person would never be able to confront or handle the results or intentions of Black shamanism. And yeah, I don't hear people talking about Black shamanism, except very rarely. So I won't read any more of that. I just thought it was an interesting distinction. There is zero feeling from these people who are showing up to me that they are in any way dark or tortured, or they're just faces. They're just faces showing up. But it was interesting, and I couldn't get this one person out of my mind. There was a relatively young woman, like in her 20s, sitting at a desk, and I think that's the first time I've seen something other than the face, or maybe head and shoulders or something like that. And I think maybe that's why I remembered that. Trying to think where she talks more generally about the meaning of this. I mean, it's essentially the death card in this deck. It's Shaman's Death, Death and Rebirth. It really goes, it's a really in-depth book in general. Where here it says the application. In choosing the Shaman's Death cards, you are being put on notice that a death cycle or ending is in progress. So my question for the cards was, why? No, this is why. Who? My question was, who are the faces that I see? So I feel like it's people going through a death process. I feel like that's what it's telling me. Before the rebirth can occur, the habit, attitude, relationship, or part of self that is dying must be looked at. Assist the process by consciously allowing the old to be removed, let go, and then make way for a new cycle of life to take hold. Remember that you are creating fertile ground for new adventures when you are willing to let your old identities die. The rebirth cycle is always full of promise and growth when you allow the old patterns to die with dignity. So again, pretty much the death card, right? And then, so this is reinforcing to me the idea that maybe these are people in a liminal space. And I did pull one card, and I'll look at some other ones about why I am seeing them, why they're presenting themselves to me. I have no idea. But so who are they? We got that, kind of people who maybe are in a liminal space between life and death. And then we've got the Wheel of Fortune here, which in the Ghost Tarot, they aren't even embodied spirits. There are a couple of cards that just kind of have spirit energy. And of course, that's the Wheel of Fortune. And to me, that makes sense too, in terms of being spirits in a liminal space. They're going through a process or a cycle. This is just like, I'm seeing the faces, etc. And then here's the Hangman. It's like a Houdini who's in a trap, with the water, trying to get out. And I'm like, am I the person in the trap there, and the faces are looking at me, or am I the face looking at the people who are trapped? I don't know. I don't know which one that is. But the Hanged Man is suspension. For some reason, they're in a state of suspension. And then I had thought too, well, I have a majors only deck, the Pentimento. Tarot by Joanna Colbert, which I almost never take out. And I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to ask the majors and see if they have another clue. And did they? No, but they gave me death. It's like, shut up, Jennifer, quit asking. It's the death card. No, I don't see faces like this with their eyes closed or like they're dead at all. They're animated. They're not animated. They're alive. That's what they look like to me. Like somebody bending, like somebody coming up to me in the glass if I had my eyes open and this was upright. You know, if this guy had come here and looked directly, if this is me, look directly at me, I would see his face as clearly as kind of this. Although I don't think I've ever seen anybody with glasses on, oddly enough. Not that you would need glasses, not that you'd be taking glasses to heaven, but or wherever we go, you know. But it almost indicates to me that I'm not seeing just things from memory, because if I were seeing things from memory, surely with all of the faces I've seen, I would have seen some with glasses on. But anyway, I do see them, and I don't see them in profile. They're looking at me. So maybe somewhere in some alternative reality that people pass through in this liminal state, I'm hanging like this, and people are pressing their face up to the glass, say, who is this who's hung here among us? Anyway, so to me, this is like uncompromising statements here, saying that these are people who are they're in a death process. They're going through a death process. Why me? Okay, so I took out, kind of appropriately enough as it turned out, The Soul's Journey by James Van Praagh, to ask the why question. And he's a medium, and I mean, it's the soul's journey, so I got it thinking of using it for living people's soul journey, but here we are. And this card popped out: forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. I feel like that's some kind of a clue. Like one of the issues, like I had this happen, these faces happen the other night, and it was hard to get them to stop. I just had to open my eyes for a little bit. And it was annoying because I'm trying to get to sleep. I'm ready to sleep. I think it was fairly late. And yeah, I don't know what to do with these people. I don't know. Or whatever. I don't know what to do with these faces. And so I felt like this was maybe trying to tell me, give me a clue, like what I could do with them. Like, I mean, from this, it's like, well, should I just tell them that I mean, they're never people that I know. I don't know if I'm supposed to say they are forgiven or if I'm supposed to say you need to forgive and move on. It's really strange. So I didn't look in the book, and so let's look in the book. You can never flow with your natural energy of love unless you release the negative energy of hate, anger, intolerance, or blame. Every soul in your path has free will, and you have no control over that. What you do have control over is how you react to the manifestations of others' free will. Holding on to that negative energy will strengthen karmic cycles, and forgiveness can break that pattern. The most important person you must learn to forgive is always yourself. Blaming yourself for failures blocks the natural flow of love, which will attract all good things into your life. So I don't know, but it's a start. I mean, I can try it. you know, just saying, forgive yourself, forgive others, and move on. I just looked at another card, but I think it's for me, adversity. I accept that challenges are the best way to learn. Like this is a challenge. This is like this thing is a challenge. So I felt like that was a direct message to me. But I wanted to look, since I was originally intending to ask the why anyway, I'm going to ask the why of these decks with the next card. So we have, this is who. So why? Why are they coming to me? Isn't this funny? This is like an Alice in Wonderland card. The Four of Pentacles. I'm not sure who's being represented here. It's pretty amusing. Because we have the little door and the big person. So I use this deck because it is a deck of doors. And, there's the whole notion of myself being on one side of, it's really not a door, it's more like window, or something in there. But it's like they're trying to come through to me, not to speak. That's why I'm asking why. I don't know why. And why me, All I can do is watch them or tell them to go away, disrupt the whole process. So this is a really curious card. I don't know if they are really large and are asking for my help in shrinking and fitting through the little door, or explaining how to go through the door or get to the other side of the wall, or if if I am somehow the big person. I think it makes better sense if they are. So I'm not going to explore, I'm not going to continue to struggle with that card. I think it's just a matter that I don't understand. And that they are trying to make some kind of passage maybe that they don't understand. Four of Pentacles is about holding on to the physical, right? Holding on to the physical world. So maybe I'll need to ask another question. All right, so why are they coming to me? How can I help them? Oh my God, the devil. So I would take that as breaking the chains. How can I help them? Is to break the chains. Still opaque. How am I supposed to break the chains? You just knock. You just knock on the door. That's hilarious. So this is the Knave of Pentacles. Which is interesting because to me that's like knocking back. It's like it's people who, like knocking back on the door of the physical world instead of something more spiritual. It looks like he's bringing a gift, which is a puzzle. All right, you guys, those of you who are mentors, who are in a better position to understand this, feel free to interpret and leave comments. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to ask any further questions. So I'm going to move that out. So again, this is who, and we got the Wheel of Fortune. And then why me? Why are they coming to me? And here it is. This is the Page of Pentacles. And what was the next question? How am I supposed to help them? Temperance. This is so weird because it's coming across to me as people who are wanting to return to life. Like I almost see this temperance as like, how am I supposed to help, or what help do they want from me, is to like pour their spirit back into their body or something. It's like not something I can do. Like they're there to ask the impossible. I'm going to do this one last because I'll probably have to return to the book. So I'm going to ask from the Majors Only deck. Same, the Hermit, I guess. So why are they coming to me? I don't know. Maybe I've got some lantern that I'm not meaning to shine that is attracting them to me, like moths or something. You know, there's the old man aspect. Maybe they tend to come to older people or show themselves to older people. So nothing, you know, that's all that personal. It's interesting, all of the white spatter around him you could almost see as being those soul particles dancing around. That's good old, I think it's Walt. I think that's Walt Whitman. You know, it can be that they're coming to me, and they're coming to me at a time when I'm, you know, my mind is emptying. You know, when I'm between wakefulness and sleep. And so, and that's what the Hermit goes into, right? It's just, so again, it's kind of impersonal, but that's what the Hermit goes into is an uninhabited land. Maybe I'm trying to say that I'm vacant and uninhabited, and so that's why they show up. I don't know that I'm really even supposed to be helping them. I'm going to pause. I'm not going to ask that question again, at least not from that deck. So this is why. The burden basket. Oh my goodness, self-reliance. Why are they coming to me? They're wanting to, or they're needing to unburden themselves. 34. So the keywords down here is self-reliance, and I've gotten this card before for myself in another reading, and I think it's about taking responsibility for others. Let me get there. When I first turned over the first cards that I showed you in that process, I had to take a break. It's not, I had to just leave them sit there for a while and go into other things, because I think people have heard me say before, I'm not comfortable with this. That's why I think that second card from the Soul's Journey was a message to me. Burden basket carries my grief and gives me strength to go on. This is a little kind of poem-y thing at the bottom here. Burden basket reminds me not to take my burdens to others' homes. Burden basket sings to me when the winter is long, reminding me of summer's heat, bringing warmth to ancient bones. Oh my goodness, that's like what I was saying here, wanting to be like revitalized or something. And here wanting to knock back on the door of material life. I don't know. I'm trying to look, there's a lot of description of traditions and stuff like that. So like the whole first page is just describing what the baskets looked like. Assistance in relief of a burden. Ah. Um, all right, so here it says, it is obvious that the flap of a teepee, carney, or wigwam cannot be knocked on like a door. To receive permission to enter the sacred space of any Native American home, whether hogan, teepee, longhouse, cliff dwelling, or earth hut, it was necessary to scratch lightly upon the door. Since every dwelling was the sacred space of the family, if there was no answer, entry was not permitted at that time. The family could be eating a meal, having a family council, or just wanting some privacy. The decision was always honored. No feelings were hurt because the idea of sacred space was understood. If permission to enter was granted, the burden basket was the reminder to the guest to leave his or her personal complaints or problems in the burden basket before entering another person's sacred space. The custom was honored, or the visitor was barred from entering that dwelling ever again. So the weird thing is like, am I supposed to be a burden basket where there, or do I need to establish a burden basket so that they, given the question, like why are they coming to me, makes it feel like I'm supposed to be the burden basket, which doesn't make any sense either, but and certainly not something I'm like feeling generous about. Like, yeah, sure, dump on me. This can be seen too as cleansing, the need to be cleansed somehow. Not that I would have any idea what that means either, but the burden basket is sort of that way, striking me that way as well. Assistance in relief of a burden was sometimes given in the home of elders. This practice was an exception to the rule of leaving all burdens outside the door. To seek counsel, one would go to the elder, relative, or medicine person and bring a gift of tobacco, a trading blanket, a buffalo robe, or another appropriate gift, depending upon the magnitude of the favor being requested. The meeting was not held in the presence of others, and the person seeking counsel had to wait 3 days for the decision. On the 4th day, the answer would be given. During the 3-day waiting period, the wise person whose counsel was sought would smoke the answer or dream the solution. Although these wise ones were not required to say more than yes or no, they usually used the opportunity to give a teaching through storytelling to the seeker. So this is making me think that maybe these are people who had not had an opportunity to unburden themselves before they passed away. This doesn't really answer why on earth they're coming to me. So maybe I will ask the next question, which is, how can I help them? The thing that comes to mind is to encourage them to just go to whomever they need to unburden themselves to, and to do that, to empower these spirits to go to whomever they really need to unburden themselves to, and do it, tell them that that is within their power. Yeah. Which is kind of what the application here says. If you are carrying a burden basket today, this card is telling you to pull from your inner strength and become self-reliant. You can conquer the world when you let go of the burdens by trusting your ability to find your own answers. Relying on ourselves and our connection to great mystery teaches us to stretch into our potential. Lordy. All right, so we had the burden basket, and then how can I help them? South Shield, Innocence, Inner Child. I don't know. Somehow I think that is not going to be fertile ground, but let's look at it. Oh, well, maybe it will. The little poem thing says, Red Earth, South Shield, child filled with wonder, teach me to yield. I'm just going to read the application. Well, this won't work. This may be a time to get some physical exercise to loosen up tight muscles. The South Shield marks a time of returning to the childlike parts of self that need no support from the ego. Look at how you can be humble in the present situation. You'll need to lighten up and drop the uptight parts of self before you can continue. Yes, I understand. This could be talking about me as well. Stop holding on so tight and remember how to trust. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not gonna, oh my goodness. See, I just ramble and ramble. Yep, not going any further with this. It's been interesting and mildly disturbing. Again, if anybody wants to give me guidance down in the comments, feel free to do so. I am open to guidance. Kind of on when this happens, what to do. It was a respectful thing to do, because I feel like what I did recently was kind of just like, go away, stop it, So it was not coming from a place of compassion or childlike spirit. There was no playing. It was just like, God, how do I stop this? And I have no sense that that what I was seeing, that these things that were coming at me had any sense of really my being there. And so it's really weird. And so it's like I need to be talking and objecting, aiming my objections not at the individuals who are filtering through at me, but at whatever funnel or whatever is sending them my way. It's like you've sent them the wrong way. You have the wrong map somehow, and you got down the wrong road. The mail should not be delivered to this address. So anyway, like I said, feel free to provide suggestions, even if it's just, Jennifer, you need to read this book, or go check out this link and maybe it will help you. And I would be grateful. All right, everybody, take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.